Okay, everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about opposites and absolute values. So first up, what I want to make very clear, opposites does not mean reciprocals. Remember, reciprocals would be like if we have 2 and we need to find the reciprocal of 2, it would actually be 1/2. Or let's say if we had a fraction, if we had 3/5, right, the opposite, or the reciprocal in this case would be 5/3. This is reciprocals. That is not what we're talking about. Opposites, all it is if we have 2, what would be the opposite? Well, we would be -2. Or if we had 55, the opposite would be -55. Or -10,000. -10,000 the opposite would be 10,000. So if it's positive, the opposite is negative, and vice versa. If it's negative, the opposite is going to be positive. So that's pretty simple. So then now going on to absolute value. This one is, again, very easy. And how we can tell we are dealing with absolute value is when we see kind of these bars in front of numbers. And so what this is telling us is the total distance from 0. So if I have a number line and I'm taking a look at, let's say, -4 first, since it's negative, I know I am going to be to the left of the decimal, left of 0. So I am going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to plot my points. So this is -4. And so the total distance from -4 to 0 is 4 place values. And I can tell because I just went 1, 2, 3, 4. So the total distance, or the absolute value of -4, is going to be equal to 4, because it is 4 place values, or 4 equal distances from -4 to 0. If I have 3, and if I plotted my points, I'll do this in green. So I have 1, 2, 3. So this would be +3. And since it's already positive, the total distance from 0 to 3 is 3. And I can double check this by going 1, 2, 3. So with absolute value, your answer will always be in the positive. It will always, always, always be positive, because it is just telling you what is the distance from wherever it is to 0. So this would be a distance of 4, and this would be a difference of 3. So that is, that's about what, total distance and absolute value is. So continuing on, there may be times where we are given the task of finding a plot point. Let's say it's -5. So what this is saying, whenever we see double negatives, we know that this is going to kind of turn into a positive. But what this is telling us is if I have a number line and I want to identify 0, and I'm looking first here, -5. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know -5 is going to be right here. But now this is saying kind of like what's the opposite of -5. So I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the opposite direction. So the opposite of -5 would be 5. So if we see similar instances like this, where we see that double negative and negative, it turns into a positive. Another situation that we can come across, let's say I have the example of negative, and then I'm going to have a bracket with, say, I've got my negative and then -3, and then I close that bracket. So with these, we know that inside, kind of from this last example, when we have a negative and a negative, that becomes a positive. So with that, it's going to be all right in here. We've got 3, so negative plus, basically a negative plus a negative. if we keep this on the outside, we'll have 3, and then we have a negative out there. So we would have 3 here, but we still have the negative, so it's actually going to be equal to -3, and I would go 1, 2, -3 right there to find the opposite of that. So yeah, those are kind of like quick little tips and tricks, and see you in the next video.